I'll stop there. Right. So, it's a lot of information in those pages. It's a novelization of my experiences, right, with Quentin Tarantino on the psychic frontier. I was outside of Memphis, Bartlett, Tennessee, which I walked all day, all the way through Memphis, right? From the north side to the south side. And then however many miles, Bartlett is like a suburb on the south side of Memphis, right? And so I stole the clothes in the morning from the Goodwill, right? And then spent the day in the library. I was laughing about the food because I feel like I remember when I was writing that, so that's funny. I feel like my breath was really rancid, garlic and cinnamon, and maybe not, I don't know, but it's funny. So everything that you heard, right, is Quentin's design. It's all bullshit, right? And you could say I'm not well, right? But what I'm saying, right, is that there's the ticket, right? That the way that he told me he wanted me to question him about cinema speculation is the same way, right, that he and the people around him led me to believe that I have a coven of witches that all love me. Right? That they're the same tactics. That's the point. Right? That he said, oh no, this guy thinks that he's like strong enough to deny me. Right? And so rather than see what's good in his life, right? Rather than look to that beautiful goddess of a wife, right? And they're Hollywood swingers, 100%. Right? But rather than see what's good in his life, see those two beautiful children that are devoted to him, that need him to survive, right? He doubled down and said, no, we're all going to focus on torturing this guy to compel him to madness, right? So that he'll get run over by an 18-wheeler on the side of the road, so that he'll put a bullet in his head, right? And then I can have the scene for free, right? And I'll be free of him. Right? And so, right, the reason that he's kicking off the film now is because he failed. Right? And all he can do is be evil. All of the evil that he stole from me, and I can't stress this enough, right? That if you go to that video of Plea to the Pope, right, it's all there, right? And that's in no way exhaustive, right? But like he stole that from me, right? Because I am wise. I know exactly what he's doing, right? That he's playing some bullshit subtle game, right? That's the same thing, right? The tactics that I espouse in that video, Plea to the Pope, right? Hearken to the same thing, right? That mind is the progenitor of all life, right? And so, right, to come back to the writing, I really love those pages. Again, I wrote 200 pages, 100 sheets, right? But front and back in like 4 days. Just writing. And this is how it works. And every writer will tell you, oh, a writer gets one shot like that, right, in their career, right? And so everything that he's done, right, has been, right, in an effort to make me die, right? He didn't do all of this for the two of us to be able to say, hey, buddy, how's it going? He could say, hey, how are you, buddy, right, for the last 20 years of his life. Right? Right? And so this is where my anxiety comes from, right? That it's a sick, right? It's a sick, palpable, evil condition between us, right? Right? And so we're talking about it. That's what's occurring. I tried to sue. I suspect that something happened with the mail, right? And now I'm not working. I can't work anymore because of his evil, right? Because he thought that it was funny, right, to torture me with real black magic evil while I was working my job, right? I don't give a fuck what Quentin Tarantino does. If I cared what he did, right, I would have let him violate my mind at Tribeca, right? Everything that's occurred here now, right, is him kicking himself over trusting me, over revealing himself to me and getting burned, right? Right? And it's just like I said in my other video, there's no document, right? There's nothing there. There's nothing that I can point to and say, this is where he told me, because then I would have given him what he wanted, right? That he didn't want to, right? He wanted to play this occulted psychic mind game. He wanted to say, oh, submit to me, right? I don't have to say anything to you because I'm famous. and I can violate your mind as much as I want if you want to be in my movie. And that's true. That's true. Like, he makes the rules for his movies. I do not. It's unequivocal. I don't argue with that. Right? But I opted out. Right? I chose my side. Sorcery's done in the dark. Magic's done in the light.